The matchup of the year, the event of the decade. The race between the tortoise and the hare takes place February 1st during the fourth quarter. Vote on Twitter using hashtag Team Tortoise or hashtag Team Hare with hashtag contest, and you could win your own Mercedes-Benz Big Race viewing party. Visit bigrace.com for complete rules.
ESPN Radio. This is the Thundering Herd Podcast.
You know, this is the time of the year for New Year's resolutions. I've never been a big New Year's resolution guy. I used to have a high school basketball coach, James Conn, and he was he had something to say after our games. If we win a game, he'd always say, moderation. Because I lived in a small town, guys went out, logging roads, drank beer, chased girls. He was like, you can do that stuff, but moderation. I always remember that. Moderation is the key to life. And that's been a big part. I give him credit for that. That's been a big part of my life. Have a dessert, just have a bite. Scottie Pippen once told me. Scottie Pippen probably had the best body at like a 35-year-old athlete I've ever seen. I'm like, dude, what do you train like? He's like, I have desserts. He goes, I order mud pie every time and have one bite. Don't cheat yourself, but moderation. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty smart, right? Don't get too high, don't get too low, too happy, too angry. My New Year's resolution is to be even more moderate than ever. Take even more emotion out of sports. That is my New Year's resolution. Everybody's angry now. Nobody's popular. Remember when I had the president on last week and I asked him, I said, all the NBA, NFL, NHL commissioners, nobody likes anybody because now everybody's a critic. When Jay Leno, a comedian, finally left NBC, the last year, the media was cruel to him. He's a comedian. He's not running a country. He's not an elected official. If you ever find yourself angry at a comedian in your life, go see a therapist. Go see a therapist. You're too angry. You can't be angry at comedians. They are there to make fun of everything, including you. And in the last year of Jay Leno's run, get over it. He tells jokes, big chin, goofy guy. He's a professional joke teller. And I find right now, everybody's angry and everybody's ticked off and nobody's popular. Even Canada doesn't like their prime minister. It's Canada. They don't get into wars. Well, what's the big story in Canada today? Importing, exporting peat moss. Really? You've got to be happy in Canada. There's nothing to argue over in Canada. Pass me another Molson. You got to be happier. Listen. There's an underground maple syrup market we all need to be concerned about here. Hey, not really. Be happy. So, yesterday, it's not like the West wasn't already dominant over the East in the NBA, but the Celtics trade Rondo to the Mavericks. So now Dallas is really good in the West, too. But here's what I find interesting. The Patriots are really, really good. They'll compete for a Super Bowl. The Red Sox will be really, really good. They'll compete for a World Series. And the Celtics told their fans yesterday, hey, in 2022, we are going to be lights out. Yeah, but for 10 years, I got to pay $240 a night for tickets. There's this belief, and I'm seeing it with all these Eastern Seaboard teams. Philadelphia, Boston, Knicks, Brooklyn, bottom out. Yeah. But you're not lowering the prices. I get bottoming out. But here's the thing about bottoming out if you're the Lakers. You're still the Lakers. You got the warm weather. You got the appeal. A lot of players want to play in Los Angeles. Even the Clippers with Sterling could get a great coach and great players. It's Los Angeles. It's a winter league. All these let's bottom out. I like the bottom out theory as long as you can include free agents in the rebuild. But ask yourself this, if you're a top lawyer, do you want to go to a law firm with a bunch of kids? Let me ask you, if you're a top surgeon, do you want to go to a hospital with a bunch of kids? Oh, they are highly touted out of Harvard Medical. They're 22. Okay, Boston's got 1 million first-round picks. You think I'm going to go there to play with Jeff Green and Jared Sullinger? Boston keeps accumulating all these picks. The Patriots can do it because they have Belichick and Brady. The Celtics, why would an NBA star want to go play with the Knicks, the Sixers, and the Celtics? Why? Kids don't win in this league as good as Golden State is with all their great young players. You don't know if your draft picks are going to be great. They're still right. This is finally the year they've hit. And this is just the regular season. Anthony Davis is amazing. He's still years away from winning a title. It is really funny. You see this bottoming out stuff. This isn't the NFL where you can go from dog food to playoffs in a year. In Kansas City Royals, you can do it in a lot of sports. The NBA, you don't go from awful to great. You know, I mean, it's unless you get LeBron, there's one of those in the league. But I found the Boston Celtics yesterday. They're like, okay, let's give up our last really high-end player. Let's send him west too. We'll get, okay, now you've got 9, 12, 16 first-round, second-round picks. What star wants to go play with that? No top surgeon wants to go to a hospital with a bunch of snotty-nosed 23-year-olds who think they're better than they are. Colin, it's the startup generation. Yes, if I was 23, just got back from Amsterdam with a backpack, I'd want to go to Google. But if I'm 31 in my prime years, you know what I mean? I don't want that hemp trail all over work. I want to go work with grown-ups, formidable, winning, titles, now. I don't want to do a startup. So I just find all these, I find the Celtics and Knicks and Sixers. Let's get all these draft picks. Look around the league. These teams are unwatchable. Unless there's Andrew Luck or LeBron out there, if you think you're going to go get all these stars, Kevin Durant's going to want to come play with some 29-year-old, 21-year-old kid, you're out of your mind. I don't want to go play with those guys. Durant wants to win titles now. He's already fallen apart. He wants to win titles now. LeBron didn't want to play with Andrew Wiggins. LeBron's like, no, I want Kevin Love. Kyrie Irving's in his, fourth year. I don't want to play with Andrew Wiggins. I want to win now. Stars, star doctor, star lawyer, star litigator, star athlete. Tom Brady doesn't want to rebuild again. Peyton Manning went to the Broncos because they had a bunch of good players. Rebuild. You just gave up the only guy Rondo's your only really certified star player. Man, if I'm a guy in Boston and I got some scratch, I can pay money for the Celtics, I can pay money for the Red Sox or the Celtics. Celtics, no thanks. See you in 9 years. I'm not going to wait through that process. I got a buddy who's a Knicks fan. I'm like, dude, you have 7 years minimum. I mean, you can't ask fans. NBA tickets are $1.50 a pop. Want to pay that for 7 years and be dog food? All right, yesterday I made a bet with my staff. How about we do this? We'll bet if I lose, I don't know. Let me think about this. Let's go back to that Starbucks bet. If I win, Stanzik Starbucks for a week free, and if you win, I'll pay your Starbucks for 2 weeks.
All right, so you're paying for my Starbucks for 2 weeks. If I win, if I lose, I get you Starbucks for 1 week.
How's that? 2-to-1 odds.
I like it.
Okay, so I took that game last night, the Jags, the Titans, unwatchable. I tried. Just awful. In fact, the NFL Network, it was on the NFL Network, Jim Nantz, Phil Simms. Even the NFL Network's promo was subtly taking a dig at the game.
Coming up tonight on the NFL Network, we replay the Week 1 matchup of Packers-Seahawks, NFL Fantasy Live, a Football Live, Keenan McCardle, and Titans-Jags at 8 o'clock. The NFL Network. We love football, just not tonight's football.
So even the NFL Network thought it was awful. So here we go, the ratings game.
Hang on, Colin, real quick. For this bet, can I get John and Vince coffee as well? Can we get 2 weeks of me, John, and Vince getting coffee from you?
No, that's not the bad. I'm not giving you 4-to-1 odds. No, I'm not doing it.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. You're the most annoying that I have to deal with, so let's just do that. So I went 2.9 rating on the NFL Network for the most unwatchable game of the year. You guys took the over. Okay, so ding if I'm right, if I'm wrong. It's over a 2.9. Are you kidding me? On the NFL Network, you could hear Jim Nantz last night during commercial breaks getting on his cell phone and calling his agent. Get me out of this contract. I can't do this game. What was the rating for that game last night?
Take another guess.
3-4? What was it? I can't believe. So that basically got the same rating as the National League Championship Series. That football game last night?
Titans-Jags.
Oh, I tried. I love football. I am, sometimes with the NFL, just always guess more, not less. Yep, it surpassed what you think it'll do. I'll tell you what. You know what moved that number? Fantasy football. Betting on that game. That's a fantasy football rating. I just want to see Blake Bortles. I watched the little Blake Bortles. I'm like, okay, I've seen enough. He's fine.
Putting style in black T-shirts. It's Colin Cowherd, the Thundering Herd podcast.
First of all, this is the greatest thing of all time. A Los Angeles to San Francisco Hyperloop speed tube could become a reality. You could get from L.A. to San Francisco and back San Francisco to Los Angeles in 30 minutes. How cool would that be? Listen, I like driving my own car. Outside of New York City, I'm not really into the subway. I like being in my own automobile, my own music. I just like doing that, like controlling it, going where I want to go. New York City is different. Mass transit's amazing. Most cities don't have great mass transit. Portland's not bad. New York's amazing. Boston's okay. That would be amazing. They were talking for years about a speed train, L.A. to Vegas, which I was totally for. Because if in L.A. I'd be off at 10 in the morning, by 11:30 I could be laying 11 points on the Padres or, the Bucks or something, That'd be amazing. So that's incredible news. So here's what happens sometimes is that, let's be honest about this, that sometimes fans hate the media. You like the media when we do nice stuff, but right now Florida State fans hate the media because we pick on Jameis Winston. Yeah, like we're the ones doing the dumb stuff. And right now, like you see this with fans sometimes, like Jet fans. You're an idiot. You only picked us to win 6 games. You'd be lucky to win 6 games. You know what I mean? So people consume the media, but they hate it at the same time. Let's be honest. When members of the media say something about your team, like Laker fans, like now hate me. They didn't hate me when you were winning titles, because when you were winning titles, I was like, this team's amazing. They're not amazing. They're completely rebuilding with an iconic past his prime star who they pay too much to. Now they hate me. So fans generally like when the media says nice stuff. Michigan fans now, they're getting cocky. Game on. Yesterday, they're not only confident they're going to land Jim Harbaugh, they're absolutely sure it's a done deal. Yesterday, between, emails, my guys went and checked all the emails. You got 15, 20 inside sources at Michigan. Done deal. You media clowns don't know. It is a totally done deal. Oh, okie dokie. You really think you know more than Adam Schefter. You're more connected than Adam Schefter. Okay. All right. Sure. So, I'm getting a lot of these. You don't know. It's a done deal. Harbaugh to Michigan. Listen. I've moved cross-country 3 times. Every time I've left a really, really good job. You go back and forth. You change your mind. It's the holidays. You get nostalgic. Maybe Jim Harbaugh's like, I'm an NFL guy. Oh, it's the holidays. I miss Michigan. I got Heisman votes there. You don't know. I don't think he's made up his mind because I've done this several times, left a good job, though it's not that big of a job. It was a good job to a good job. And you go back and forth. You can be driving, see a license plate, and go, you know what? That makes me think of that, and therefore I'm going to go there. But deep down, I think the only way Michigan gets him is if they just open up the bank and make it impossible. Because the NFL right now for Harbaugh is a better job. Rebuilding Michigan is a 3-year job. And let's be honest about the whole college football thing, and I like the sport. You got to deal with parents, boosters. The NCAA is basically auditing you like the IRS every year, restrictions on practice time, worry about kids going to class, reteach your offense every year to the next class. You lose assistant coaches constantly to other schools. In the NFL, because the pension's so good for coaches, you can keep coaches for a long time. The Patriots had an offensive line coach for 20 years. I mean, Tom Coughlin would have kept Gilbride until he retired. Unless your owner comes down and says we need to change, you can keep assistants forever in the NFL. The NFL is a better coaching job than college, unless maybe you're Nick Saban or Urban Meyer. But the Michigan fans, CBS is reporting, and so is Bruce Feldman, $8 million a year is not true. So to me, if that's not true, it means it's less than that. And if it's not blow your doors off money, I think Harbaugh's going NFL. Now, if they go up to 7, 8, free playing, 24/7, all year, just literally will quadruple your pension, they can make it the kind of job where you'd be stupid not to take it, especially if he can leave for the NFL at any point. But I think, my feeling is, the NFL's a better fit, and he's going to have 5 options in the NFL. The Jets would want him, the Raiders will want him, Miami will want him, minimum. If Tennessee gets the number 1 pick and they draft Jameis Winston, you can make an argument they'd blow out Wisenhunt and go, listen, we want our franchise quarterback and our franchise coach coming in same year, let's go. You don't know. I mean, that's possible. I think he's got that kind of clout. But I'll tell you this. Here's what Adam Schefter said. Adam Schefter thinks what a lot of NFL people are saying on Harbaugh. His agent is playing the big game.
Oftentimes, agents do a great job at creating leverage. Michigan is a school that balked at using private planes for recruiting. It balked at giving iPads to its football program. Balks at increasing the size of its support staff. It has one of the smallest support staffs. And now, allegedly, it's offering all this money to get Jim Harbaugh, who, if that were the case, and he wanted to go to Michigan, and the money were that great already, why would he not just take it?
Again, Michigan fans, like Notre Dame, have an institutional arrogance. They think it's the best job in the country. They believe it's a done deal. So Michigan fans over here, it's done. Media is stupid. Media people over here, it's not done. He's leaning NFL. I think the only way Michigan gets him is with just such a robust offer. You know, you go to a surgeon who's happy at the hospital, and you say, okay, lifetime benefits for all your kids. Whatever surgeons get. 6 weeks off a year. We'll pay your mortgage off. I mean, you get to points where Nick Saban would literally have to get ownership of an NFL team to leave. Alabama boosters came in and paid the house off. He's making $7 million a year. He doesn't have a house payment. Here's Jim Harbaugh addressing the Michigan questions yesterday, by the way.
As you know, I mean, I only talk about the job that I have. We've been together a long time. I've said that, I mean, we're going to finish this to the end. I mean, this is focus in my focus. It's the same as the players' focus, same as the coaches' focus, focus in the practice field, the focus in meetings by our players, by our coaches, and by me. That is our focus this football game against the San Diego Chargers, and playing well and winning. That's where our energy and focus is.
Okay. But Michigan fans are offering a challenge. They're saying the media doesn't know squat, and it's a done deal. I'm getting a lot of those. So, let's get it on. I say it's not a done deal. This morning, leaning NFL. Michigan fans, it's done. Uncle Ronaldo, let's get it on. Not a done deal, leaning NFL this morning. All right, we'll see who's right.
Harbaugh, we'll do anything to get you. We just want to win football games.
Michigan's begging now. They're on their knees.
We'll give you anything, Jim. Please save our football program.
Come on, Michigan fans. You are mocking me, and I have put the gloves on. Let's get it on.
Who wouldn't mock you with that voice?
Harbaugh, we'll do anything to get you. We just want to win football games.
Technology gone bad. Gone bad. This is the Thundering Herd podcast.
Michigan fans say it's a done deal. I say it's not, and Harbaugh's going to the NFL. We're going to have a little bout, little fisticuffs. Uncle Ronaldo's got the gloves on. Dealing with parents, boosters, institutional arrogance, NCAA, restrictions on practice time. Ann Arbor, awfully cold in the winter. I'd live in the Bay Area if you gave me the options here. I don't think he's going. Yeah, I think Michigan could sell out and sell their soul, but, which is what they're going to have to do. All right, Sal Paolantonio, NFL matchup show, Saturday and Sunday mornings on ESPN. Let's start Colts Cowboys, which I cannot. There's 2 games this week I cannot wait to watch. Cincinnati, Denver, and Colts Cowboys. All right, set aside DeMarco Murray's broken left hand, okay? What does the film say? The Cowboys, how do they match up against Andrew Luck and the Colts?
They have to find a way to get to Andrew Luck. Now, Andrew Luck has been battered, he's been hit, he's been under duress pretty much more than any other quarterback in the National Football League. But he hasn't been sacked very much. if you can get to Andrew Luck and disrupt their passing game, you have a shot. But if he's going to rattle off 68, 70, 72 plays, if he's going to be in that area, Colin, that's going to be a problem. The Cowboys are going to have a real problem handling him offensively.
You know what's amazing, Sal, about him that really is amazing? That kid he forgets everything. He'll literally throw a terrible pick six. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers even goes deep as often as Andrew Luck. He attacks on every series. I don't even know if Aaron Rodgers does it like he does.
Yeah, there are only 3 teams scoring 30 points or more, and the Colts are one of them. So they're going to have their hands full. The other thing is this. If you go back and watch the last 2 games the Eagles played against the Cowboys, Bill Davis, the defensive coordinator, decided not to blitz Tony Romo, and when he did, he got crushed. Romo beat him big time. Romo is really, I think, one of the most underrated players in the league. Everybody talks about Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers being able to really read the defense pre-snap. Romo's right up there. And, you know, Greg Manusky, the D coordinator in Indy, Chuck Pagano, they came right out of the Rex Ryan, Baltimore Ravens operation. They're going to blitz him, but they got to get home because Romo will kill you.
All right, let's go. I want teams under the radar. Mine's Baltimore. I think there's 4 teams, Denver, Green Bay, New England, Seattle, in the Elite 4 of this league. I see Baltimore as my 5. They're running the football. Flacco's having a career year. There's a couple teams, though, in the matchup show that you say on film are under the radar. Who are they?
Well, Baltimore from the schedule is definitely underrated. They're at Houston. They should beat Houston with a bad quarterback situation. Then they have Cleveland at home. If they win out, they're in the playoffs. But the teams that are under the radar for us are Pittsburgh and Detroit. Now, it's hard to say, you know, Detroit's number 2 seed in the NFC. How are they under the radar? Well, because they're still number 1 in points allowed. Terrell Austin, the defensive coordinator, African-American, he should get a lot of looks for head coaching jobs in the NFL this coming season. And I would say Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, you talked about Baltimore running the ball. Le'Veon Bell, and Haji's got a great piece on the matchup show. Le'Veon Bell turns out to be, in my opinion, more dynamic of a runner in many cases than DeMarco Murray. Yeah, I said it. I'm telling you, you got to watch Le'Veon Bell. And the Steelers, number 1 offense in the NFL, their 3 wide receiver set with Big Ben shifting and moving around in the pocket, buying time and going deep into the down, lethal right now. And all those people who wanted to fire Todd Haley, he's got the number 1 offense in the National Football League.
Okay, who, conversely, on film is showing major flaws down the stretch that we like?
Packers defense, Packers defense, Packers defense. It's a problem. I know they're in Tampa. I don't expect Tampa to score many points, but their defense in Tampa is going to give Aaron Rodgers enough of a problem to make it a little squeaky down there. I'm telling you, the boys by the way, the boys in South Philly say Merry Christmas to all the listeners of Colin Cowherd.
That's so
Fat
nice.
Tony, Big Mike, Joe Vito. I got the email this morning. Make sure you say Merry Christmas
Merry
to her.
Christmas to Vito and all the boys, and that's very kind. That's very thoughtful.
They are. They're a thoughtful bunch. When it is in their interest to be thoughtful,
Sure.
of course. But just keep an eye on that game. That's a crazy game, Green Bay at Tampa.
Yep.
You know, Aaron Rodgers is chesty after losing against Buffalo, but that's a crazy one.
Okay, matchup show Saturday, Sunday mornings. Pittsburgh's a dark horse. Green Bay's got flaws. Great stuff, Sal. Appreciate it.
Got it, brother.
Colin Cowherd.
The Thundering Herd Podcast.
Geico presents Strange Saving Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
ESPN Radio. This is the Thundering Herd Podcast.
One of the things I like about larger cities is there's a lot of different voices, and, in a major city, you get 2 newspapers. In New York, they got like 6 and 3 sports radio stations. And the thing that I always got tired of early in my career, and I loved living in Vegas, I really did, but it was like a one-horse town, and everybody was on the same team. You could never criticize the local team. I got death threats after I criticized Tark, and I still have the tape of it. It's just, you just get this, like Green Bay is the only franchise in the NFL that feels like a college town. I mean, it's a tiny little town, like the size of, I don't even know what is Green Bay, Wisconsin, like 200,000 people? That's like a small college town. I mean, that's like a rural small college town. And so there's no fan base that's more myopic than Green Bay. I mean, it's just all they hear is how great the Packers are. That's what they hear. So they're very defensive. In New York, Jet fans, they get ripped all the time because half the city hates the Jets, half the city likes the Giants. So I like that you can go into a city and it's not just a chorus line, a conveyor belt of, the local team is great. Be honest. Don't. When I was a kid growing up, I didn't like sportscasters who rah-rahed for the home team. Just give me somebody honest. Don't tell me what I want to hear. Tell me what I can't see or don't know. I don't need a pom-pom waiver on the local sports show. And like Green Bay fans, and again, I think Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league right now. But Packer fans will go apoplectic with this. Has anybody ever said this? Tom Brady home and away is the same quarterback. Great. One of my knocks on Peyton Manning's always been he's not as good in cold weather, and he's not as good on the road. He's not quite, because Peyton Manning's sort of a control freak. And when the environment's not perfect for him, road, can't hear, different audibles, different hotel, he's a control freak. And if you take control freaks, doesn't matter if it's a Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning is. I mean, I've talked to Jeff Saturday. I've talked to like 6 guys who have played with Peyton. They're like, he's awesome. I love him. He's my all-time fave. But he's a control freak. Control freaks struggle in relationships, on teams, in businesses when they don't have control. So when you grow up playing in the South like Peyton Manning, 75 degrees, you go to a dome, 72 degrees, now it's 12 and windy. Tom Brady played at Michigan cold, played in Foxborough for over a decade cold. Brady's the best cold weather quarterback in this league, hands down. I saw him a few years ago in Chicago. They were up like 33-0 on the Bears at half. It was a driving snowstorm. He'd never been more accurate. It just doesn't affect him because they practice in it all day, and he's not the control freak. I mean, he says every year, whatever coach wants to do, we'll do. That's who he is. And I know Patriot players, and I've had enough people inside that organization, he's amenable to change. If they decided we're going to throw it 50 times, Tom would do it. 10 times, he'd do it. That's not Peyton. Different guy, different DNA, different act. But here's the thing about Packer fans. Anytime you criticize the Packers, they go nuts. Anybody else notice this? Aaron Rodgers isn't the same quarterback on the road. He's becoming Aaron Rodgers home and Aaron Rodgers road. He's not. I mean, the numbers don't lie on that. Aaron Rodgers, the greatest thing about Brady to me has been cold weather, warm weather, dome outside, doesn't matter. Now, he's not as good under duress. Nobody is. But Brady's the same quarterback mostly, regardless of weather, environment. Aaron Rodgers is 44-10 at home. He's a 500 quarterback on the road. He's becoming a different quarterback. He's a 27-27 guy on the road, unbeatable at home. Well, they're not going to get home field advantage. And again, I'm just saying, when you're talking all-time greats, I think about that stuff. Brady has been a great road quarterback. All right, there's a lot of talk, a lot of speculation. I'm going toe-to-toe with Michigan fans. They think Harbaugh's already in. I think he's going to go to the Raiders. I think he's going to stay in the NFL. I think the Raiders is the most likely landing spot. He coached at Stanford, then at San Francisco, in Oakland, doesn't have to move, got young kids, can keep his assistants. He'll take a lot of that Niners staff across the street. Joe Schad is joining us for the latest on the Michigan job. All right, I'm getting emails. It's a done deal. Joe, do you have any source that says Harbaugh to Michigan is close or a done deal?
Colin, there are a lot of people who have been involved in the Michigan football program, who are dialed into the Michigan football program, who are well connected to administrators in the Michigan football program, who have told me over the last 48 hours that, yeah, some of them, Colin, they believe the guy's coming. I mean, they're saying, look, he's putting together a staff. Hey, the only reason that folks are saying that the financial particulars are not accurate is because, they're able to say that because maybe it's $1 million more or less or a year more or less. There is renewed optimism from people who are connected in and around the Michigan football program. But, of course, they also caution me that they understand and believe that Jim Harbaugh's first preference is to continue his pursuit of a Super Bowl championship in the NFL. But they're trying really hard. They believe that he has an understanding about how desperate they want him, and they believe that he's going to want to be somewhere where he's not just well paid, Colin, but appreciated, respected, can be perceived as a savior.
$8 million, is it, because to me, if the money's a wash, you stay in the NFL. Rebuilding Michigan is not an overnight gig, okay? It's just not. Do you buy the $8 million stuff?
People who understand the finances at Michigan have explained to me that is feasible, that is fiscally possible. But they also think that in the end, Harbaugh's decision is not going to be based on money. He's made plenty of money. He'll continue to make plenty of money. If in fact he has this decision, which it seems like he does, there's going to be other factors, including, as you mentioned, does he want to go back to dealing with teenagers, chasing recruits and their parents across the country? Having to deal with things like classwork and having less time. We know all the pros and cons, right? One of the pros, though, is that he would have complete and full control over his players and the direction of the entire program. So one positive, obviously, is you don't have to deal with general managers, owners, agents. Yeah.
My gut feeling is Raiders. That's my gut feeling. I think they're going to offer him unprecedented bonuses. They'll probably offer him 5 or 6 a year, but they're going to offer him $5, $10, $15 million bonuses. This morning, Joe, if I said to you, Jim Harbaugh, what's your gut feeling? Not rooting, but your gut feeling with your reporting.
I believe that it's 50-50. I honestly believe that it could go either way. I believe that Michigan is all in on Jim Harbaugh, that he is 1, 2, and 3 on their list, that they're going to use all the patience that's required to wait out Jim Harbaugh, to make sure that he's not coming, and then they'll figure everything else out from there. But I still believe that his preference is to remain in the NFL.
By the way, do they have a second choice? I mean, 'cause you're getting to a point now, you got to make a call here in a week, right?
Well, remember, they made their last hire pretty late in the process. So, all these other schools are racing around trying to get it done as quick as they can for recruiting purposes. I think Michigan thinks, look, it's more important to us to get the right guy, regardless of when that is, even if it's in 2 or 3 weeks. I think they're willing to wait. Who's next? Who knows? A Dan Mullen, a Kyle Whittingham. Who knows? Certainly there is a group of secondary candidates, but I really believe, I definitely believe Michigan is all in on the Harbaugh pursuit.
Yeah, I don't think they'd wait this long. You could get Greg Schiano today. You could get Dan Mullen today if you wanted him. Joe Schad, the very latest. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Colin.
See, what did I tell you, Packer fans? Aaron Rodgers won 3 straight roadies in 2011 and won the Super Bowl in Dallas. Last time I checked, those aren't in Lambeau. We're not saying he's never won road games. What I'm saying is Aaron Rodgers is becoming a different quarterback on the road than at home. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying it's becoming a reality. Is that he is so lights out at Lambeau. It's just unbelievable. He's like the best player in the league squared. But on the road, he was okay in Miami. He was bad in Buffalo. He was okay in Seattle. He's okay on the road. He's still a great talent, but he's not. He is. When you're going to Lambeau, you're like, we're done. You know it. He's going to throw for 4 touchdowns, no picks. You're done at Lambeau. They beat the Patriots at Lambeau. You think they win at Foxborough? No way. No way. And that's my thing is right now, I'll tell you what, I think Tampa Bay and Green Bay is a fist fight this weekend. I think it's competitive. I really do. Kurt, you're in the Herd on ESPN Radio. Go ahead.
Hey, Colin. Hey, listening to you over 10 years. Love the show.
Thanks.
Just want to say a couple of things. I agree right now. Unfortunately, Auburn probably is a better job than Michigan. I guess the point I want to make is the things we have on our side is winningest program in college football history, biggest alumni base in the country, biggest stadium in college football, and a degree from University of Michigan is worth a lot more than a degree from Auburn or Alabama. And we get a guy like Harbaugh who can get us back to the top. We are going to be one of the best jobs in college football again. So we're trying to get to that point.
You're one of the top 15 jobs now. I'm not, Kurt, it's a very, very good job. I don't think it's top 5 or 6, but it's a very, very good job. But I got to tell you something. I talk to a lot of coaches. I talk to a lot of assistants. A lot of them are just turned off by college. They're turned off by the boosters, and Pete Carroll ran the country. And he got tired of going 12-1 and not being allowed to play for a title. I mean, you got to deal with parents, and quarterbacks increasingly come with major egos and boosters and dinner speeches and recruiting and NCAA's, the IRS auditing you every year, restrictions on practice time, worrying about your kids going to class. You know what I mean? If you get Andrew Luck, 12 years, you don't have to go recruit another quarterback. I mean, college is tough. The best football job in America is like a New York Giants. Great ownership. Even when you struggle, they have your back. And you can win a Super Bowl because you've got an Eli. Eli can still win another Super Bowl. He just needs a better offensive line because he's immobile. He's not going to do it by himself. He can elevate you. He's not going to carry you. Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Luck can more carry you. Peyton Manning in his prime can more carry you. But like the best job, if you're talking college or pro, the best job would be NFL, great ownership, incredibly patient. Coughlin's not going to make the playoffs for like the 5th time in 6 years. And from what the New York Post reports, it doesn't matter. That's the best job in the world. A quality of life, Austin, Texas, tough to beat. USC on the beach, Manhattan Beach, that's tough to beat. But if you're talking about the highest, top floor of your profession, NFL job with great owners, that's as good as it gets.
Want more of the Herd? The Thundering Herd Podcast.
It's interesting. When I think of Tony Romo, I'd rather have Tony Romo on the road as an underdog than home as a favorite. I actually like Romo quarterbacking on the road. And if you look at his splits, he's a very, very good road quarterback. Eli Manning, I don't think home or away. With Eli, I get the same up, the same down. Tom Brady doesn't matter. But when I think of Peyton Manning, I think conditions matter. And when I think of Aaron Rodgers, I think home and away matters. Aaron's going to end up being a top 5, top 10 quarterback of all time anyway. But it is my perception. Tony Romo, it doesn't matter where the game is. I've never thought he plays better or worse anywhere. Same with Eli, same with Brady. Peyton, I've always thought, as a control freak, weather's not perfect, has to change things, suffers a little. Aaron is so unbelievable at home. He's one of the all-time great home quarterbacks. I don't feel he's the same guy on the road. I don't know why. But I really believe that. When I look, listen, Green Bay is going to make the playoffs. And all quarterbacks are not as good under duress. So, I'll get calls. Well, Brady's not good during a pass rush. Nobody is. Outside of Russell Wilson, who beats a consistent pass rush? And nobody ever. Steve Young, Fran Tarkin, and Russell Wilson, complete outliers where they can kind of manipulate a pass rush. But and it's not a criticism of Rodgers, it's his reality. I don't feel he's as good. Maybe he's a guy that has a certain comfort level, doesn't like to travel. I don't know. But I don't feel on the road, I'm not getting the same Aaron. You think you'd get that Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau against Buffalo? I don't. But Romo, Eli, Brady, same guy home and away. When they take that shot before a game, CBS, NBC, Fox, ABC, and they have that shot of the quarterback before the game throwing, and I know. When they show Peyton Manning and here are snowflakes, and I know, you think, this isn't great for Peyton. That is just all of our DNA. We're like, oh, boy. A couple years ago, they had a shot of him at Foxborough. It was like 5-6 years ago. It's like snowing sideways. I'm like, Patriots won. He looked cold on television. It was an hour before the game. I'm like, Peyton doesn't look comfortable. And he wasn't. With Aaron Rodgers, I picked Buffalo over Green Bay, and one of the reasons is his splits aren't as good on the road. He's not the same guy. At home, I think they blow out Tampa by 30 this weekend. On the road, I think it's competitive. Rob, you're in the Herd on ESPN Radio. Rob, go ahead.
Hey, Colin, first time, long time.
Cool.
Just wanted to point out, I'm a Packers fan. I completely agree with you. If you look at Rodgers' track record,
you're a Packer fan.
I am. But if you look at his track record against top 5 defenses on the road, and even at home, he struggles. I mean, Seattle, he struggled. Lions, he struggled. Buffalo, he struggled. And then even in 2011, against a good Giants defense, he couldn't get it done. So I completely agree with you.
Now, your Packer fan base doesn't agree with you and I.
I love him. I think he's a great quarterback, but, he's got some flaws.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Yeah, he hangs on to the ball too long. Aaron does. One of the things I like about Andrew Luck, better than Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Luck doesn't care if he throws 4 picks in a game. He doesn't care about any of his numbers. That kid is just trying to he's like Mike Tyson as a fighter. Leaves himself wide open, but is going for a home run on every throw. I love that about him. Sometimes, Aaron, he doesn't want to throw a pick. He'll hold on to that ball, throw it away. Andrew's like, I'm rolling the dice. I don't care. Andrew Luck's the most aggressive quarterback in this league. He is the most aggressive quarterback in this league. Brady's not. Brady will throw it in completion. Eli will get rid of it. Peyton will get rid of it. Aaron will hold on to it or run. Luck's like, nope, in your face. I'm going to throw it. He'll go throw a pick 6. He'll go right back to the same corner. He is so aggressive. Bill Parcells used to make fun of Phil Simms. Phil Simms is a very good quarterback. I don't think he's all-time great, but very good. Reminds me of Kenny Anderson, used to play for the Bengals. Underrated, very good. If he played in Kansas City, wouldn't get the love, wouldn't be on CBS. The New York thing helped him. Parcells helped him. But he's good. And one day at practice, Phil Simms was doing what Phil Simms did, and Parcells is like, what are you, trying to pad your stats? It's practice. Throw the damn ball down the field. And he used to get on Phil Simms. Throw the ball down the field. If you're not throwing a pick a game, you're not taking chances. Air it out. Scare the defense. Because the safeties know and corners know. If you're not willing to do it, those Seattle corners, those New England corners, they're daring you to throw it over their head. Andrew Luck will. And he'll have 4 picks. He doesn't care. So Parcells used to get on Phil Simms. Throw the ball. Make mistakes. Don't hold it.
You're in the Herd, the Thundering Herd podcast.
All right, the fastest 5 minutes we've got on this show. We do it. This is the last one of the year, the Blazing 5. I was 3-1-1 last week, and 38 and 32-1 on the year. We're going to get over 40 wins. I feel great about this. What's on the menu? Brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings, Wings Beer Sports. Let's go to our Blazing 5.
Vikings at Dolphins.
So I get Minnesota plus 6.5 at Miami. Have the odd makers, have they watched Miami in the last 2 or 3 weeks? Miami's fallen apart defensively. Linebackers are hurt. Free safeties out. They've registered 1 sack in the last 2 weeks. And Minnesota plays a lot of close games. They've lost by more than 6 only once in the last 2 months. Miami's offense hasn't scored more than 16 in the last 3 games, and Tannehill's been sacked 10 times in 2 games. Miami's defense was amazing early. In the first 10 games, they only gave up 18 points and 300 yards a game, but in the last month, they're giving up 31 points and over 400 yards. I don't love Minnesota, but Bridgewater's capable. I'm taking the 6.5 points. Miami's not the same team they were 3 and 4 and 5 weeks ago. 24-23 game. I'm not sure who wins. Take the points.
Ravens at Texans.
This is the only favorite I like this week. I'll take Baltimore -5, and I've been on the Ravens now for a month. Their offensive coordinator is Gary Kubiak. Oh, what do you know? He coached Houston. He knows their personnel. It's a huge spot for the Ravens, who can clinch a playoff berth if they win and get a little bit of help. Flacco's having his best year ever. He's only been sacked 16 times this year, so J.J. Watt will be challenged. Ravens are 7-2 out of division, while the Texans are 1-7 all-time against the Ravens. And the Texans don't even know who's starting at quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick broke his leg. Tom Savage is out. They don't know what they're doing at quarterback. And again, I get one of the best road quarterbacks in big games in the league in Joe Flacco. The Texans haven't thrown a touchdown pass. Do you know this? Since Fitzpatrick threw 6 in Week 13. They're a mess throwing the ball. And I think the Ravens are a dark horse to win the Super Bowl. They're passing it. They're running it. They're getting a pass rush. Flacco's getting protection. I'll swallow the 5 points. Ravens win 31-20.
Packers at Buccaneers.
Listen, Green Bay's the better team and should win the football game, but now the line's up to 11.5 points. And the Bucs, since their bye week a couple of months ago, they've been a top 10 defense with Lovie Smith. He got a bye week in 14 days to mess around. He's turned them into a real defense. In fact, Tampa's got 18 sacks in the last 5 games. All the money's on Green Bay. That scares me more than anything. The Packers are a 3-4 road team this year. They score 41 at home and 21 on the road. They get 425 yards at home and 340 yards on the road with Aaron Rodgers picks all on the road this year. And the Buccaneers aren't a great team, but Josh McCown's capable, and they've played an NFL-high 9 games that were decided by 8 or fewer points. It doesn't matter if they don't win them. They're in close games, and I get 11.5 points. Green Bay had to go back home, back on the road, long flight. I'm going to take the points. I think Green Bay wins by a touchdown, 30-23, but I'll take the 11.5 points every day.
Broncos at Bengals.
Okay, this is one where I don't get it. Cincinnati, a very good home team. In their last 16 home games, they're 13-2-1 straight up. And they're getting more than a field goal against the Denver team, going to be cold weather. Denver's only 4-3 on the road all year. And this is one of the better home teams in the league. And the Bengals really, really need this W. I was surprised by the line. I thought it was going to be a pick'em. By the way, I don't like the beige water pistol. I'm not into Andy Dalton, but he's not terrible. Since his career began in 2011, Andy Dalton's faced 22 teams that entered the game with a 500 record or better. He's 12-9-1. I mean, he's capable. He's middle of the pack. He's just not the red rifle. Broncos averaging 33 at home, 24 on the road. And Peyton's not the same guy on the road. 72% completions at home, 62 on the road. 9 yards of completion at home, 7.3 on the road. I think it's a coin flip game, 28-27, but you gotta take more than a field goal for a great home team, Cincinnati. I'm taking Cincinnati in the points.
Colts at Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys? Well, how about the Cowboys after a big television win? Sell the stock. Okay, well, here's what I know about Dallas. Off a big TV win, America falls in love with the Cowboys. Go the other way. They're unbeaten on the road this year. I like Tony Romo as a dog on the road better than a favorite at home. Dallas is 3-8 against the spread in their last 11 home games. And they come off this big national TV win over Chip Kelly and the favorite Eagles. No, thank you. DeMarco Murray's practicing but could be out. Andrew Luck leads the NFL with 4,500 passing yards. And in his last 2 games, he's got 3 turnovers, which were returned for touchdowns by the defense, and they still won those games. He's not going to do that again. He's got the most completions, the most passing touchdowns on throws at least 20 yards downfield. Against the Cowboys defense, you can throw the ball on. The Cowboys are the rare team. This happened to the Dolphins a couple years ago. They're better on the road this year. Sorry, taking Indy and the points. Colts win 30-28. Get in touch with us, 1-800-FLOWERS Twitter feed. So I took points with the Vikings, the Bucks, the Bengals, the Colts. And I think Baltimore is a dark horse to win the Super Bowl. Really like them. Really like them. Flacco's getting time, got a running game. Really like Baltimore right now. A lot.
Colin Cowherd. The Thundering Herd Podcast.
Urban Meyer, Ohio State football coach, in 5 minutes. He's prepping to play Alabama. By the way, you Michigan fans, a lot of arrogant emails to the radio show. You don't know what you're talking about. ESPN doesn't know what they're talking about. It's already signed, sealed, and delivered. Jim Harbaugh is going to Michigan. Oh, really? You want to pick a fight with me? Let's get ready to rumble. I got Harbaugh to the Raiders or anywhere in the NFL. Deluded Michigan fan has him going to the Wolverines. Michigan fans are telling everybody it is a done deal. That's what it says over on KookyMadookyWolverine.com. We break all the stories. ESPN has no access. We have the inside juice. All right. Okay. You got more than Adam Schefter? All right, there. Joe Schad? All right, man. All right. Let's be honest, Michigan. You have always made fun of the Alabamas of the world, desperate, running out in the tarmac to give Nick Saban a kiss. Look at those people. They have no life beyond college football. We've got the symphony. We've got some interpretations tonight at the local theater. And now look at you. You people in Ann Arbor, you've got fancy names for tomatoes on toast. You are really something. But you know what you've become, $8 million a year Jim Harbaugh. You know what you've become. Desperate.
Jim, come to our school. We'll give you anything, Jim.
You know what? Come on. You know I'm right. You've become what you detest. You know you people in Ann Arbor, you call gasoline petroleum. Tomatoes on toast. We don't call it that. I forgot what we call it, but it's a bruschetta. Bruschetta. We've got a symphony here that is second to none. You know, Ann Arbor stands for sophisticated people in Latin. It's not jelly, it's jam. And look at you now.
Mr. Harbaugh, please make our lives better.
Let's talk to somebody in a program that's already got a big-time coach. Not crossing their fingers, hoping they get one. For the record, 30 college bowl games live in December on ESPN Radio, also available on the free TuneIn Radio app. Ohio State head coach Urban Meyer in the Herd on ESPN Radio. Okay, you're in the Sugar Bowl, January 1st. You got a lot of time. My question, though, is how do you keep them in shape? Do you have a game plan? Where are you right now, Urban, in terms of preparing for Alabama?
Lou Holtz gave me great advice in 06, as a young coach, just trying to figure out this, how to prepare a team for that. It was the first year where we were separated a week from the other bowl games. And he kept saying to me, he says, you don't play the game until whatever date it was, January, whatever. And that's when we came up with just a 3-phase way of doing it. It's phase 1 is conditioning and fundamentals. We finished that. That's also during finals week. We're now in the preparation phase, which is phase 2, game plan phase, and we let the kids go on Sunday. So all our normal situation, first down, and normal situation, game planning is done, and then tomorrow, the next day, red zone and third down.
Is Alabama the best team you will have faced, and if so, how much better?
Yes, they are. I think they're tremendous. It's stereotypical Alabama. I mean, I went back and we were watching, some of the games we played in the past, and they're just, their D-line is the same, only they have more of them this year. Very physical, real big guys. I remember the one year we played the Mount Cody.
Yes.
Just a big two-gap guy. They're not quite that big, and they're a little more athletic, but they're just a tremendous defense that do what they do, and they do it very well. And every year they add little intricacies to the defense, and so we're still in the process of figuring out, but they're a great team.
Urban Meyer, Ohio State coach, the Herd on ESPN Radio. When I look at the game, obviously you always want to play a clean game. Alabama's had games when they've had 2 or 3 turnovers and one going away. Do you have to play a clean or perfect game to win? Do you feel that kind of pressure?
Yes, you do. That's anytime you get to the championship level game. That's always, you turn the ball over, you'll lose. Sometimes you'll outmatch an opponent and get away with that, turning the ball over. Or, I always go back to kickoff return. We've had 0 penalties on kickoff return all year, and you want to destroy a drive and have to play the entire first quarter in a hole, have a block in the back penalty.
on KOR. So we're just, these kind of games, we train them for these kind of games that we can't have that. And it's a turnover, a penalty. If you play between the 40s and play field position, there's no problem with that. It's just when you get put in a bad field position situation, that's when you lose this game or, obviously get behind.
Urban, after this next recruiting class, next year you'll mostly be playing almost primarily with your guys. So you inherit other players, and you've made them very good. You've yet to lose a regular season game in the Big Ten. But could I argue you're only going to get better, and that it would serve you well if Michigan turned it around? In the end, you haven't had a lot of challenges in conference. Could that hurt you?
The Big Ten conference is getting better. And and all I can speak is the last 2 years is the top half of the Big Ten is a very good league. Michigan State going out and beating Stanford last year. We wish we would have done our part, and we had a chance to beat Clemson at the end, and we didn't do that. So on the national level, the Big Ten is getting better, but we have to hold up our end of the bargain, and Ohio State and the rest of the conference to go win some of these bowl games.
When you look at Alabama on film, Arkansas gave them trouble. LSU gave them trouble. They could have lost both of those games. What concerns you most? Is there something on tape you look at and go, all right, we can struggle? Are there other things you're like, fellas, we can be competitive here. We've got areas here. When you look at this game, what do you feel good about and what concerns you?
We have a very young team, extremely young team. As a matter of fact, I thought we're a year ahead of schedule on what I anticipate would happen, especially when we lost those two juniors to the draft last year, Roby and Shazier. And I think we haven't got to that point yet, Colin, as far as the motivation, because we're just still in the preparation phase, but we'll probably show them clips of teams having success against Alabama, because right now there's a perception, and it's a pretty good one, is that they are the number one team in the country.
So you're saying I'm basically helping you prepare for Alabama right there.
Yeah, absolutely. You normally do.
Your fan base in Columbus probably doesn't want to hear this, but I would argue it's better for Ohio State when Michigan's good. It challenges you. It forces you to be at your very sharpest. I want a Jim Harbaugh-level coach to go to Michigan. Do you even care who they get? Does it matter at all to you?
Well, of course I care. I haven't had time to really think about it, but, of course I care. And anytime a tradition-rich program is on top of its game and for the conference, but, I can't worry about that. But I think it is good for college football when the traditional powers are usually, top of their game.
Yeah. Urban Meyer, Ohio State football coach, the Herd on ESPN Radio. So we go into this big bowl season. These kids get a lot of time off. And, you sometimes Oregon lost a player to an injury or a kid will get in trouble. Would you rather we shorten this puppy up, go to an 8-team playoff, this layoff stuff for coaches? Do you like it at all?
Well, I like the setup. I worry. My whole focus is the players and the families. And I keep lobbing it out there, and there just seems to be zero conversation about that. And we all started that last year when, I can guarantee you the Big Ten office is going to all be there at this bowl game, and their families are going to go, and I know my family's going to go, and they're not going to have to pay for their hotel room and, or all their administrators and all that. But you start adding more games, what are the families? The families just don't go, in other words.
Right.
Forget the families, and then let's go represent the university and, on this multi-billion-dollar deal, but by the way, your starting tight end's family can't go watch you play. So I think there needs to be a committee put together, and it's got to be representation of the players and thoughts of those kind of things. And I really, that needs to happen, because everybody's represented other than, and I know that's come up a few times, and I'm not talking about shoe deals for players. I'm talking about the mom and dad can go watch their son play and not have to put a second mortgage on their home, because that's basically what you have to do now to go see 3 games. Think about that, Colin. They went to the Big Ten championship in Annapolis. I got kids from Texas, Florida, everywhere. That's about a $5,000 trip for a lot of people. And then you go, okay, now, great, Ohio State made it to the championship game or the first playoff game, and if we're fortunate enough to the next one, they got to go do it again. They should, without hardship, be able to go watch your son play.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you, Urban.
Thank you.
Urban Meyer, head coach of Ohio State, a school not begging to find a head coach. Hey, told you the fight was on. Harbaugh to the Raiders, that's my guess. He would be so good in Oakland. He would be great. I mean, we've all kind of lampooned the Raiders for years. How great if you're a Raider fan and in an hour you found out Harbaugh was named coach. There's no better Christmas present.
Check out The Herd with Colin Cowherd weekdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNradio.com, and on ESPNU. The Thundering Herd Podcast.